Hey, Coach John O'Connor here. How about addressing the A10's decision? How do you feel about that in terms of the tournament?
Well, I think it's great. Number one, for our university to be able to host and to be such a great partner with the A10 with VCU also, and to host. We have a great facility, and I feel like the unique setup of having VCU and Richmond in the same city really is very cool and will be on display. So, but for John Hart and David Walsh and Dr. Crutcher, Dave Hale to partner with the A10 and to provide the facility for the tournament, I think is great, and I really appreciate them, and think it's a terrific venue for the tournament.
Hey, if you will allow me to follow up by asking, it appears as though opponents are trying to take advantage of their backcourt size compared to Richmond's backcourt size, trying to bully your guards a little bit more than they used to. Have you noticed that, and what would you recommend to Jacob Gilliard and Blake Francis to address that?
Yeah, it's something going into last year, and we've had small backcourts in the past, but going into last year, we thought we would see a ton of it. And then, even with Wisconsin, who post their guards a lot, and Auburn, who post their guards a lot off of the style of offense, we didn't see it a ton during the course of the year. But we did see it with LaSalle and St. Joe's. I think it has more to do with both LaSalle and St. Joe's, especially having worked at Villanova, where they post their guards a lot. That they would try to, not just exploit the matchup, but that's how they play and something they do against, even if their guards are not as big as the other team's guards. So I think the biggest thing is before the ball goes in there. That's your chance, is before the ball goes in there, try to fight like heck to make sure it doesn't go in, and have help behind you. So you're fronting the post, have help behind you. Once it goes in, we have a strategy to double team if it was close enough to the basket, which is good. The only thing is then you're scrambling a little bit. So it's something that we're probably have prepared for since the first week of practice, knowing that we'd have these smaller guards. I think it more is just that we played LaSalle and St. Joe's back to back was the reason that showed up more recently.
Chris, kind of following up off of that, obviously I think that, when Nick goes down and Tyler becomes a starter, of course, Tyler may think of him as a better defender than Nick as a shot blocker and physically, but Nick's a lot more switchable onto guards. You're now going with a bigger lineup. Do you think losing that switchability of the three guards versus Tyler more of a forward has put maybe more pressure on Blake and Gilly not having that third guy to switch on?
Yeah, to a certain extent, yes. I think Nick, he's just a very good defender. And being a fifth-year senior, his positioning and his sense and anticipation of the switch. It's one thing to switch. The more you can anticipate and know that it's coming, you're switching more aggressively, you're switching it with better timing, and you don't get taken advantage of immediately so much. So losing him hurts our defense all around. And I do think there's a lot of pressure on our guards, because for us, when we've been at our best defensively, so St. Joe's, Mason, Kentucky second half, Loyola first half, we've put great pressure on the other team. That starts with the guards. It's hard to ask those guards who are playing close to 40 minutes a game and doing so many things for us already to do that much more and apply pressure. But that's where we really need them, and that's when we're at our best. So I think the more everyone else is also playing aggressively, then they can apply pressure in the best way possible. If we're all a step slow or a split second too tentative, then then it's harder for them to put pressure on them without getting beat immediately. So it's reflected in the guards, but it's really a whole team thing, is that we have to be as aggressive as possible because we are giving up size. And so the way to, the counter to that, or the advantage to that, is we have these guards who are so quick who can put pressure out on the perimeter. We all need to be aggressive to do that.
If I could just follow up, looking at St. Louis on Friday, that was a game last year that, well, most people would say was closer than the score indicated most of the game. It was a game Blake got hurt, obviously, and it was somewhat of a defining game that kind of created this narrative of Richmond's second in the conference, but can they beat the big team? Can they beat the physical team? With those two things in mind, in that narrative, is there, maybe added motivation and thinking of this game Friday as a defining moment for you guys and to push back against that?
Not necessarily. I didn't know that was a narrative, Noah. So now I'm glad that I do. But not necessarily. I think that, it's interesting. The year before we had beaten St. Louis there, and then in the conference tournament they played almost all zone against us, and St. Louis won the game. And then last year we anticipated a bigger mix of zone and man-to-man, and they played almost all man-to-man against us. So those things are really difficult to judge. In other words, we would have thought that they felt more comfortable playing zone against our fluid perimeter, and they played all man-to-man. So, I think what it really has to do with, we do have to be able to take on a big physical team and be able to hold our own defensively. Then that puts it on them to be a big physical team to be able to guard the perimeter that we have. So yes, I do, not that I really don't know the narrative on that part of it, but I do think there's something to that we need to be as good at our stuff as possible, and then be really focused on the things that they're so good at to try to minimize their advantage there.
Coach, obviously they have some big bruising guys in there too. How much more important do the Matt Graces and the Sal Caressis and those guys? How much more important do they become in a game like this, just to, in terms of giving Grant a rest or gets in foul trouble maybe?
Yeah, for sure. Well, they're extremely important, and you're right. Hassan French is he's not their leading scorer, but he's so important. They throw them the ball so much. He's so physical, and he's difficult to officiate probably because there's a lot of contact when he has the ball, and some of that's generated by him and his force. Some of that is illegal on the defense. So it does make it more important for those guys to be able to come in, and also those are guys who are very comfortable in the perimeter, and so therefore it makes Hassan French be away from the basket a little bit more, and then maybe he's not as close to the basket when we have cuts or have opportunities for him to block shots. So, always they're important, but yes, even more so with such a strong lineup that St. Louis has.
I'll fire one more at you here. I know that we talked about kind of the big game afterwards on Tuesday. Is there a sense of urgency for you guys going into this one, just with kind of the situation surrounding it and them being, near the top of the league ranked right now? Is there a sense of urgency for you guys?
Well, I'd like to think there's always a sense of urgency, but yes, I feel like St. Louis is a great team. They're a nationally ranked team. We don't get a ton of opportunities to play ranked teams at home. So that's a great opportunity. We know how good they are. We know where their standing is, and we know where they're likely to end up. So, yeah, the games being on national television, I wish we were going to have a sold-out Robins Center, but yes, I think we all recognize how big this game is and how intense this game can be.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Mark.
Chris, is there any hope, with, as of right now, Virginia is allowing 250 fans into these venues, and with the A-10 tournament coming to Richmond, is there a hope that maybe that number can go up and potentially get some more fans in the building for the tournament?
Is there hope from me? Absolutely. I'm not sure what that means, but, I don't know. No, I mean, I do really hope so, because I think that would, when we watched, we're just watching the St. Louis game from last year, and it feels like there's 50,000 people at the Robins Center because of how different it is. So hopefully there will be, but I don't know. I haven't been part of any discussion like that.
Hey, Chris, I don't know if you looked at numbers or gone back and looked at tape, but can you pinpoint a reason or a point as to why you guys maybe haven't played as well at home this year as opposed to on the road?
Yeah, I can't. I don't know. I would say, I don't have an answer to that. I know we have played well on the road, and but of course we played well on the road last year. So I don't know. I don't know what the reason is. I think it's always still better to be at home, even if there is no crowd. But no, I don't know what the answer is to that.
And I know I asked you after your game Tuesday night, at St. Joe's about, the importance of having these primetime games as far as recruiting. Blake kind of downplayed the importance of these primetime games. I mean, is it still a big deal to kind of have the spotlight on you guys on 3 consecutive Friday nights on ESPN, or is the mindset just we're playing another game against a high-quality opponent in the conference, regardless of where and what time it is?
Well, I'm glad that Blake feels that way, but I think as the coach, it's really important. We have to find ways as much as we possibly can to promote the program. To be selected, there are only 7 or 8 Friday night games, so to be selected for half of them is great. Again, better if the Robins Center was sold out and that could be seen and felt. But no, it's really important and really critical for us to play in these kinds of games, to play, we play Kentucky on ESPN and West Virginia, to have that opportunity to showcase Richmond and our program. That's extremely valuable to us and important to us. And hopefully we play well while we're doing it.
While we're on the record, you want one?
Hey, Chris, I'm sorry if you've already answered this, but how much do you expect to see zone down the stretch? And I know it'll depend on your opponent and how comfortable they are playing it, but how much zone do you expect to see?
Well, I would have bet $100,000 that St. Joe's was going to play zone every possession of the game the other night. I think in my 3rd year, I was convinced that George Washington was going to play zone, and they played not one possession. Just like the other night, I would have bet any amount of money that they would have played zone. So I could not have been further off. St. Joe's did not play one possession of zone, but I would think that we'll see zone. Hofstra obviously plays zone the whole. They play a zone the whole game, every game. But LaSalle played much more zone against us than usual. I would think that would be a strategy for some teams. Mason started out in zone, and we played very well. And the traditional thought is that if you play well against zone, the team gets out of it. When the team doesn't get out of it, that's what makes it a little bit tricky, or the feeling a little bit different. Can you continue to get great shots and open looks and 2-point shots as well? Or do you become a little bit stagnant? So I think that has changed a little bit over the years, that a team would be willing to go zone for a certain amount of time. Now some teams are just willing to go zone and see what happens.
Hey, Blake, John O'Connor here. Could you address the resolution of the A10 tournament issue and how Richmond's players might feel about that? And then part B would be, do you see that as a significant advantage for the Spiders and or Rams?
I don't really see it as a significant advantage because, it's not going to be fans. It's probably just going to be the families of all teams. But, I think the only good part about it is, we don't have to travel. We don't have to fly or take a bus anywhere. I think that's probably the only advantage for us. But other than that, it's we knew that it will probably be either here or VCU, so we weren't really surprised.
Thank you.
Blake, obviously, last year against St. Louis was, the game that you got injured. It was somewhat of a defining moment where you guys finished second, but there was chatter around the conference that we don't know if this team can play with a physical team like SLU. With those two things in mind, is there any added extra motivation to win this game on Friday, thinking about that from last year and make this a defining moment?
Yeah, a little bit. We know that they beat us last year. So, we definitely have that in the back of our minds. But, we just got to go out and just play our game, stick to the game plan, do what we're supposed to do on both ends of the floor, and just play at a high intensity throughout the whole game because, they're known for being a tough team. You know, they're good defensively, they're good at rebounding. So we have to do all the tough things and just play as hard as we can for 40 minutes.
You obviously had a major bounce back last game relative to Saturday. And one thing Nick spoke a little bit about on the last podcast is, you know, the competitor that you are, how every shot matters so much. And when you're on, that's so great and it drives you. When you're off, sometimes you can let it bring you down a little bit. Can you speak kind of to that internal battle of trying to use that competitiveness to your advantage while trying to downplay the negative effect?
Yeah. Yep, that's just me staying locked in on what I need to do, not letting anything else distract me or whatever the case may be. Just staying locked in for 40 minutes is what I need just to continue to do. So.
Hey, Blake, speaking of your competitiveness and intensity, can you recount the play you made the other night against St. Joe's on the breakaway by their guy? Obviously, doesn't surprise us, me, Greg, you know, after watching you for a couple of years, but was impressive. Just did your basketball instinct take over? And, you know, looking back at it, did it kind of help set the tone for the entire team that this is the way we need to approach every play, whether we're shooting the ball or defending? I mean, it was a breakaway in a 14-point game. I don't think anybody would have thought twice if he just had a breakaway layup.
You're talking about the play where he could have had the wide open layup and swiped it down?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's just, you know, just not letting any easy buckets, you know, happen. You know, no matter what the score is, you know, we got to play hard for 40 minutes. And that's what coach has been telling us. You know, we have to play hard from start to finish and give effort from start to finish. So that's what we got to do in order to win games. So.
Hey, Blake, I know it's the end of January. You guys try to approach every game the same, but is bolstering a tournament resume something that you guys think about even at this stage of the season? And is there a sense of urgency with this game, maybe more so than normal?
Can you repeat that?
Sure. Is tournament resume something you guys think about here in late January? And is there more of a sense of urgency with this game than normal?
No, there's no thoughts of having a resume to make the tournament. You know, we got to take one game at a time and just try to win every game from here on out. You know, just focusing on one game at a time. Like I said, you know, right now we got to focus on St. Louis, and you know, whoever we play after that, we'll focus on that. But just taking it one game at a time and not worrying about, you know, different opponents ahead of our schedule or anything like that. So.
Hey, Blake, how much different did you guys feel playing your second game back after that long break? And can you relate that to what you're going to get from St. Louis Friday night? Because this will be their second game back after they had, you know, an even longer pause, actually.
Yeah, I mean, the second game, you know, we kind of had to come out and play with a little more urgency. We did the first game, but I still don't think us being out from last week, I don't think it should have had that much of an effect on us. But I think right now as a team, we're good with where we are. So, you know, I just think for the most important thing from the St. Joe's game is that, you know, we came out and executed the way we did, mainly on the defensive end. So.
Hey, Blake, this will be the start of 3 straight Friday night primetime games, I know, on ESPN. Is that a really big deal for you guys to be on that national landscape, maybe being one of the few games on television where all eyes will be on you guys against either a St. Louis or a Dayton or a VCU?
Not really, but we're aware of it. You know, we're aware we're playing them on ESPN and stuff like that. But, you know, we got to, you know, just focus on the task at hand and focus on what we need to do. You know, we can't get caught up into, you know, playing on ESPN and all the excitement around that and stuff like that. We just got to focus on us as a group in order to go out there and perform at a high level.
Guys, let's do one more for Blake.
John O'Connor here. Blake, some big guards are going after you and Jacob. It's been more obvious here in the last couple of weeks. How do smaller guards defend bigger guards when they're taking the ball in?
Just being tougher, playing smarter, using our size to our advantage. A lot of guys been trying to post me up or Jacob up. We have to be tough and be physical just as much as they're trying to be physical with us. So